Children told police that clowns tried luring them into woods, but sightings keep increasing. Social media threats from anonymous clown accounts kept elementary children inside during recess.
Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Come on. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to react to these animated horror shorts. And I need somebody with me. I'm too scared to do it alone. I'm going to just pick out a few. I had some saved, and I had a few that were recommended to me, but I don't know. I think it's hard to react to those particular ones. But this time, though, it's only animated horror shorts. And the next time, it's going to be live action. Short films, super scary ones. I've seen so many different ones already on my own time. Right now we're only focused on animated horror shorts to kind of paddle me in. They can't be that bad. Go on, I click play right. Hey, but you've seen my JJK hat. And bro, have you seen the Shibuya incident arc, bro? It is so fire. It got so many fights, and bro, I didn't watch it, bro. I'm just gonna keep it 100, bro. I mean, there's no excuse. I just need so much to watch, and we're just gonna start the video. And so this first one we're reacting to is True Chilling October Animated Horror Stories. And it's by MJV Animations. So I don't know how new these guys are, but I don't know. The animation seems quite nice already. So it's animated. How scary can it be? It's not scary, bro.
This happened my freshman year of college.
Did it?
I went to a pretty big university, and over time, I met a decent amount of people and had a few groups of friends that I would hang out with.
Okay.
By the time Halloween rolled around my freshman year, I had plans to go out with some of my friends. I dressed up as a nerd and we went out to a few of the bars around campus.
I'm pretty sure
Later, a few of my friends wanted to go to one of the bars in town that was pretty strict.
I'm pretty sure he's just a nerd, right? Is he just saying that to make himself look cool? I don't know. Look at this dude here. He's trying to be off-brand Jason slash...
Being 19 at the time, I figured I wouldn't get in. I told them they should go ahead, and I Snapchatted a few of my other friends asking what they were doing.
Okay.
One of my friends named John told me about a party he had been invited to. He said it was supposed to be really big and asked if I wanted to go with. To me, this was perfect because I wasn't tired yet and still wanted to hang out with people.
You're a little too happy about that.
I told him I'd go, and I walked to the edge of campus and met up with him. We then walked a few blocks to where the address was that John told me. We saw what appeared to be the house. We could just barely hear the music coming from inside, and saw a kid wearing a basketball jersey and sunglasses sitting out front drinking a beer.
Oh, he's the rule.
We walked up and John greeted the kid, who I guess knew him. He introduced me and the kid said his name was Jake. Then we both walked inside the house, and the first thing we noticed was a little entryway filled with shoes.
Thank you very much. Give it away.
I don't know, this seems a little sus. I mean, yeah, sure, people don't want you to walk in their home with shoes, but all them shoes like that? That'll make you think bodies being dropped. I don't care, I'm not going in. I'm not doing it.
Took off ours, and then we went through another doorway into a room where we saw a speaker blaring music, but nobody was in the room. Immediately, I got a bad feeling, and as I started to walk forward to the next room, I heard footsteps coming from behind us. John and I turned around and saw two large men enter the room with baseball bats. They had on ski masks over their faces, so I couldn't tell anything about them, but they appeared to be well over 6 feet tall. One of the men shouted that they would hurt us unless we did what they said. Then they ordered us to go into the next room that appeared to be at the back end of the house. I was terrified, and John looked stunned and pretty scared as well. The next room appeared to be the kitchen. There was a little table with a chair there, and it also had a stove and a sink. Then the back door to the house. There was also a wooden door cracked open that led to the basement, which is where the two men told us to go. They stood about 6 feet behind us with their bats in their right hand and their left hands pointing. As we were walking towards the door, John nudged me, and just as I looked at him, he suddenly darted for the back kitchen door, which I saw him pull the lock back and open it all in the blink of an eye. Without even
He
really
found the
thinking,
exit immediately.
I followed him and ran as quick as I could to the door.
But what?
I had a strong rush of adrenaline as I did, and I heard the men behind us start to yell and run after us. I literally rammed into John as he ran out the door, and I almost tripped over him. As I was almost out the door, I could hear the men getting closer and felt the back of my right leg get hit with probably a baseball bat. It got me in my upper right calf, and it hurt really bad, but the adrenaline kept me going out the door, and I followed John around the side of the house. The longer we ran, the more my leg throbbed, but we seemed to get a little bit farther away from the men who were behind us. And as we passed by two garbage cans that were on the side of the house, I pushed one of them over to try to slow the men down.
Okay.
John started yelling as he ran. By the time we reached the street, we didn't notice the men chasing us anymore. I ran with John all the way back to campus before I basically collapsed from being tired and the pain from my leg. We called the police and then told them the address of the house and everything. Apparently by the time they showed up, nobody was there, and the house was vacant at the time, but was owned by a guy who typically rented to students. I'm sure that John and I narrowly avoided something terrible that night, and I had a really sore leg for a few weeks.
I
But
swear,
other than that, I
bro.
was fine.
I swear, dude. I'm not
A
doing
few
it.
years back.
Hold on. I'm not doing it. These men set them up for failure. And all the shoes, those are dead bodies. I'm telling you, there's a body for each pair. They literally got it to where they make it a Halloween party and they just scooping up niggas. That don't even make no sense to me. That wasn't even scary though. I'll give it a 3. I'm only gonna do like this one and then we'll move on to another video.
Back when I was 10 years old, me and 3 of my friends all went trick-or-treating together. It was a yearly thing for us to all go together because we lived in the same neighborhood. I remember that I dressed up as a football player, my friends Jeremy and Lucas went as basketball players, and my friend John was a robot. We started early at about 5 p.m. near Jeremy's house. He lived on the edge of our neighborhood, so it was a good place to start. Then we would work our way back, block after block, to the end. It was a very large neighborhood and had houses of all sizes. We would always get tons of candy every single year. We made our way through the neighborhood, stopping at my house for a few minutes to take a quick break, and then we kept going. We ended up finishing the neighborhood at about 8 p.m.
He has got to be hot.
Night, but it wasn't really that late yet, so we decided to make the walk through the park nearby to another area that had more houses. These houses were more spread out and had a lot less other kids trick-or-treating.
This voiceover guy
The first couple of houses gave us large amounts
really
of
selling
candy,
the
and then we knew
spookiness.
that we made a good choice to come there. Then we came upon this one house that had a very long driveway.
Okay.
In fact, we almost didn't see the driveway and we walked right past it until Lucas pointed it out. It was a driveway surrounded by trees on the corner of the street. When we started to walk down it, we saw that it went downhill quite a bit and then turned. We figured not many kids had been to this house, and maybe they'd give us the rest of the candy or something.
I would
So
turn
we
back
walked
around
down
if
the
I
long
saw any
driveway.
of that.
When we reached the house,
I don't do the
we saw a
mannequins.
small light on the front step and a zombie decoration holding a sign. The sign said something like, "To finish the prize, follow the zombies," and the fake zombie was pointing in the direction of another zombie that was next to the house in the yard.
There's an old grandma about to kidnap
We
all
walked to the
4 of
second
these
one,
kids.
and it was pointing towards the garage, which was behind the house. Me, Jeremy, and Lucas ran toward it to try to get all the candy first. There was another zombie pointing to behind the garage, and the final zombie outside that pointed to the door of the back
Bro,
of the garage.
no. I'm not following
Looking
you all
back on
through
it
your
now, I see how sketchy
property,
it was,
bro.
but we just really wanted the candy and didn't really care.
I would not
The
be
three of
there.
us opened
Notice
the door
there's
to the
there
garage and walked
not many
inside while we heard John walking
of
behind
dark
us and
pigmentation.
laughing. When we got inside the
Well,
garage,
smart.
it was almost
Well, hold up.
completely dark except for a small
Where my
light
kid
coming
went?
from a desk chair with a zombie sitting in it holding a large bowl
No,
of
it's too
candy.
dark.
The three of us inside the garage had big smiles on
He's
our faces
still
when we
back
saw
there.
How much candy was in the bowl. We knew we could
He's
take
setting them
almost
up.
all of it because of how late it was getting.
He's setting them up.
We all walked
Look
to
at
the
this.
candy, but as we did, we heard the garage door slam shut behind us.
This boy
We
set
turned
them
expecting to
up.
see John, but he wasn't there. And about 1 second later, the lights went completely out and all we saw was darkness.
If you're wearing
We
a
were
costume
little
like that, you
freaked
were
out,
never to be
but laughed
trusted.
it
I
off
knew
as a
something was
prank and
off.
started taking the candy.
Take candy?
Just then, I felt someone grab my arm. I could tell it wasn't one of my friends because of how strong the grip was and how big the hand felt. I started getting pulled away, so I shouted, "Stop." My
Yeah,
friend
that's
started
gonna work.
asking me what was going on. We heard John trying to enter the garage, but at that point it appeared to be locked because the doorknob just kept jiggling. I started screaming help, hoping my friends would be able to help me, but they just shouted back asking where I was. At this point, whoever was there put their other hand on my other arm and was basically leading me slowly deeper into the garage. John then started pounding on the door. After about 5 seconds of John pounding on the door, I was suddenly released from whoever was holding on to me, and I heard a grown man's voice from the other side of the garage yell at us all to get out. The door was then unlocked, and John opened it and just stood there while the rest of us dashed out as fast as we could.
What?
We ran
What
all the
just
way
happened?
back up the driveway and back to my house. It was a terrifying experience, and I really don't know what was going on inside that garage.
Why did he
We
close
didn't
it?
report it or anything, which was probably a mistake, but my friends and I still talk about it all the time.
No. I didn't even understand what happened. This is so what? They went through all of that just for someone to scare them, telling someone get out of here. Like, that's something I must have missed because that was not it. 2 out of 10. This is Onesie Entertainment True Horror Story Animated. We are about to witness some actual scary stuff for real this time.
My name is Rui, and I'm from India. I live with my parents and older
Hey,
brother.
Rudy.
One evening, my parents went outside to shop. Since I was grown up and was not afraid of staying home alone, I convinced my brother to go for a walk. Finally,
Sounds
after he
very
agreed,
sinister.
I locked the door from inside. After a while I was studying, I heard a bang. Now, the twist is that I live in an apartment, so either it was a break-in or something happening next door. I peeked outside my door, and my heart sank.
Yo,
A
I would
bearded
not.
man with an iron rod had broken my door and was trying to
I'm
get
getting the
inside through the gap. I thought quickly. I had been watching Onesie Entertainment, and I knew what to do. I could have chosen my brother's room.
He said, I watch the channel Onesie Entertainment to understand what I need to do during this moment. Like, okay, we get it, Onesie, bro. You've been here a while, bro. I get it, bro. This is funny. This is funny though. This is funny. Let's keep listening.
As it had the best lock, but I chose to stay in my room, as it had some weapons.
Ooh,
Since
see,
the
there you
man
go.
had managed to get in, I immediately locked the door, dialed the police, and grabbed a hammer, pocket
That's your
knife, and
better than nothing?
compass. The police told me to hide in the room until they arrived.
Whoa, what are
I
your
didn't hide in
clothes?
the wardrobe because it was full of clothes. And
I can see that. Look, hold on. Take a look at this. Take a look at this. You have 5 grays here. 5 grays something together. You have 4 blues here. It's uncolored coordinated. You have the greens across. It's so uncolor coordinated. Like, you don't have to worry. You can throw all of that out.
wardrobe because it was full of clothes. And if the man found me there, I wouldn't be able to attack him. Then I called
Ooh,
the
she's
security
strategizing.
office man for the apartment, but he didn't answer the phone. My first thought was that he had been killed by this maniac. Now the maniac was laughing and banging on the door. I knew the door would break soon if
I thought it looked like he was already breaking in. This animation is giving me off vibes here. Like, he was practically already inside the first stream. Like, what happened in this one? There wasn't even a lock on it the last time, I don't think. Like, Like, listen, I don't want to be taken out of the video, bro. I'm just making an observation, Wanzi. Don't look at me like that.
He used the iron rod, and his laugh didn't sound like a person. Then the lock broke.
Wait. That's your laugh? No, I just lost all respect for how spooky the situation is, bro. You're not about to sit here and laugh like Doinks the Clown and think I'm gonna be scared of you now. Like, that's not gonna happen, bro. Like I said, I have my piece right here beside me. You can't see it, obviously. But, you know, because I'll be, you know, my channel will go down.
Right as he was coming inside, I didn't even give him a moment and stabbed him with the compass and smashed the hammer over his head.
A compass?
He fell down, crying in pain. Then I used my karate training to knock him out.
What?
I didn't accidentally kill him with the weapons. Then I heard the police.
Hold up. For a second, I was almost scared that this nigga was not actually trying to break in, but he was clearly trying to break in. But usually when stories are like this, it's like the guy's just, you know, a normal guy after all. But no. He was literally breaking in. And she had karate. Why was she afraid in the first place?
Sirens. They entered my house and handcuffed him. Surprisingly, after they removed his fake beard, I saw a boy my age, whom I had slapped a few days ago because he had teased me in public. He screamed, "I'm going to get you!" I later learned that the security guard was not dead. He was actually just scared because the intruder had an iron rod and let him in. That was also why
like
he
this
didn't pick
voiceover
up
guy.
the phone. He was fired on the spot for not calling the police, and
Yeah,
the
I'd fire you
boy
too,
got
bro.
8 years in prison. He had known that no one was at home except for me, and had planned
Look at
to
him back
kidnap
there.
me.
He just disappeared.
I still
Okay.
think, what would have happened if I hadn't kept some weapons ready?
Good point to think. Okay,
This
now
story happened in
playground.
2010 when I
Really?
was 11 years old.
New
I was
person.
visiting my family from Poland because at the time I lived in Norway. I was very excited to meet them again since we hadn't been in Poland for a few years. When we got there, we were greeted at the door by our family. In case
Shadow
you're
people?
wondering, our family
Oh.
lives in a usual Polish apartment. When we got inside, we got to say hello to all the family that was there, including my favorite cousin. She was 13 at the time. We talked a lot in her room while my parents ate with the others. I told her I wanted to go to the playground near the apartment and stay there for a while, because I get bored just sitting and talking. We asked our parents for permission, and they said yes, but not to be there for too long, probably because it was about 8 p.m. and would get dark soon. We agreed and went down to the playground. When we got there, it was very cold at the time because it was winter. We played there for about 20 minutes before we decided to go back to the house.
That's a better
Just
playground
as
than
we were
had.
about to go back inside, I saw something hiding behind some trees.
Whoa, okay.
I told my
relax.
cousin, and she saw it too. We stood there and just watched this thing staring at us. After about 10 seconds, the thing noticed that we were staring at it, and it came creeping closer to us.
Yo?
It moved very slowly towards us.
Yo?
Both of us were terrified and trembling. And then we saw what was the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
What?
It was a man with bloodshot eyes, and his right arm was gone. He looked at us without blinking,
Hold up,
and then he
do not.
flashed us the creepiest smile.
Bro, what do you do when you outside playing with your sister and you see this nigga? You see these two? And I turn around, my sister is all the way back to the house. Like, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. I probably should be also leaving and going to the house. Because nah, not this.
Smile we had ever seen. My cousin and I just stood there, thinking that the man was probably going to hurt us. My cousin and I were frozen in fear. Suddenly the man started moving and just walked away. We immediately ran into our grandparents' apartment, and as we
That's
got
that
there,
bull.
we calmed down, knowing we were safe. We never told anybody about this afterwards. I'm 23 years old now, and this story is still stuck in my memory.
Hell no, don't be looking at me like that. I'm only reacting to this because it's like 2 days old. And this was in the thumbnail. I have to know, who is this reverse Albert Einstein looking nigga here? I'm curious. Color me impressed a little with the drawing there.
Have you ever heard the stories of the back rooms? The endless rooms trapped in another dimension that serves as eternal labyrinths for those who...
Yeah, we're not doing the backrooms thing. I'm out of here. We're not. I'm not doing backrooms. Sorry.
My name is Roger, and I was trapped in a back room.
I like his... Oh.
But unlike almost everyone who enters, I escaped to tell the story.
Oh, he actually
It all started
escaped?
several years ago. At that time, I was as fanatical as everyone else who had seen the backroom video. There were many types of videos. The classic one of the yellow office doors. Others were in more hidden and strange places. But the one that caught my attention was the grocery store back room.
There's a grocery store back room?
In the video, the place looked like an ordinary grocery store, but with endlessly long aisles and gondolas.
Right.
By day, the place seemed harmless, just a maze to be overcome. The problem came at night. When the grocery store was on regular store hours, the lights would go out, and the monsters inside this dimension would begin to make their presence known. When I tell you that I was fanatical about the back rooms, you really have to take my words to heart. I would even say that I was obsessed with them. I wanted to enter at all costs, no matter the sacrifices I would have to make, no matter the risk of dying. I just wanted to get to know these back rooms and know that they were real.
Well, nigga, you about to.
I knew everything about the back rooms. Now, I just needed to be in them. And you see, this is much easier than people think. There are several ways to get into the back rooms. Either by a glitch in the universe, entering a certain location at a certain time of the day and under certain conditions. But there was another way, and it was ridiculously simple. I just had to go to sleep and think about the back room. Imagine that I was there and go to sleep with this thought.
Hell no.
When I woke up, if I was lucky, I would be there. After many nights of failure, one Tuesday night, I went to sleep thinking about the grocery store back room. I tried to eat a lot and go to sleep, stimulated to have nightmares. And when I opened my eyes, I was overjoyed when I realized that I had succeeded.
Bro.
The back rooms were
I
real.
would have shot myself.
And I was in them.
Well, probably wouldn't.
As I looked around the area, I saw all the shelves of the grocery store were full. The place was completely full, and when I saw the aisles, I confirmed what I had been looking for. The place seemed to have no beginning and no end. I took a deep breath to confirm that it was not another dream, and I smelled the characteristic smell of a wet carpet. When we dream,
not anywhere near
we don't smell odors. This was as real as it seemed. I started walking around the grocery store, playing with things and exploring everything I saw. My goal was to find the exit before I saw the monsters.
Hold on. Let's pause for a second, and let's just observe this nigga right here. So he said he wants to be in the back rooms, correct? Do you want to be in the back rooms? Probably not. It doesn't matter if you want to be in the back rooms. This nigga want to be in the back rooms. And so I'm just thinking to myself, right? You literally so obsessed with the back rooms that you wished yourself to be there one night, and then it just happened, and now you're just happy as happy can be. Like, you do know, like, if you read enough on that, you're not supposed to really escape. There's not much of an escape. This nigga just got lucky, and he's here to tell the tale, huh? Bro, that is that Caucasian style deception, deprivation jutsu right there, because I don't know what I would have been thinking in that situation. I don't even think that's normal thinking. It can only be thought by someone with that skin pigmentation. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
I could be fulfilling my dream, but I knew where I was, and being here, I didn't want to be another victim of the back room.
But you here
Anyway,
though. And you want
I
to
had
be
a
here.
very clear strategy. Not to go back. Not to go back. To always go in the same direction and to throw things out of the gondolas to see if I had already passed a certain place.
Smart, actually.
Motivated, I walked as fast as I could. But my motivation faded as the hours went by and my desperation began to show. Even though I did everything I could to escape, the place seemed to stretch on forever, and maybe it did. A part of me thought that somehow I was going around in circles, but I wasn't, as everything was always perfectly arranged. The place really did go on forever. I ran to the exit door to see if there was any opening, but it was useless.
You wanted this.
All the exit doors were
Bro,
fortified.
you wanted this. This is what you
I
asked
could
for.
see how they were covered with blood and there were tools around them.
Blood.
Someone had tried to escape before. Suddenly, the lights started to go out and the place began to change. There was a different aura. Something was not right. It was already night.
Yeah, you already know what's going
How
on.
long had I been here?
You studied on this
I
one.
didn't feel hungry even though I hadn't eaten all day. Was this the work of the back room? Maybe time was passing faster.
That background was so much
Suddenly,
different now in the dark.
my thoughts were interrupted when
Very
a
much
sound was
detailed.
heard for the first time in the entire grocery store. It was a kind of shriek. It was very loud and violent, and it was coming towards me. Whatever it was,
Oh.
I knew where it was, even though it wasn't even
That, my friends, is the face of a man who has made a terrible mistake.
looking at me. I began to run desperately forward to continue my journey until I found a miraculous
biting
way
that
out,
lip, boy.
or until it became daylight again. Suddenly, I saw a light at the bottom of one of the
That's
gondolas.
fake. Don't
This
do
must
it.
be it. Surely this was the exit.
Nope.
I ran desperately towards the source of light, and that's when I realized what I was seeing was not an exit. It was not a light, much less a door. It was a living being. Its body was black and large. It didn't seem to have any shape, and it was more than 3 meters tall. The only thing I could recognize and attribute to it as a human form was its mask. But at the same time, it seemed to me the most terrifying thing. He had a terrifying white mask on top of his body. The mask was simple. It only made room for some human features, but what was behind it was clearly not human. When I stopped walking in her direction, when I realized that it was not a door, it started to back away, the being started to move forward.
Man, this is...
It knew I was walking towards it, and when I stopped walking towards it, it was its turn to stalk me.
Because, no.
The being approached me at an enormous speed, much faster than me. She didn't seem to be running, just crawling, standing still in the strangest but effective way. I threw gondolas at her to slow her down, but it was useless. It took me longer to throw them at her than she did to dodge them. I could only run. Running while I cried and regretted my silly childish obsession, wanting to get into a place that was not made
Too late
for
for
me.
that, though. Sorry,
I
buddy.
hated how innocent I was for believing I understood the rules of a place that didn't even belong to my world. Behind me, I listened to the strange screams of the monster. Its voice sounded like a distorted radio getting closer and closer. I turned around to see how close she was, and it was worse than I thought. She was a few feet away from me,
Bro.
which was what I expected.
That's your defense
What
mechanism?
I didn't expect was that horrendous black tentacles were coming out of her body and stretching out to reach me.
Run!
When I saw them,
mean, I guess you
was
can,
so
I don't know.
scared that I got distracted and fell to the ground.
How do you escape this?
The monster was already next to me.
I would have
I
deceased
was
right
already
there.
hers, and she knew it. So she slowed down and began to approach me.
What do you
slowly.
want, apparition?
Its tentacles grabbed my whole body and stopped it.
Bro, nah.
They
because
slowly
nah.
drew me into the black mass of the
Because
monster,
nah.
joining it. I could feel how its skin seemed alive,
Because
and it opened
nah.
up to join me to its body. Suddenly, I simply woke up. I was in a cold hospital bed with strange objects they had taken out of my chest. They had just given me an electroshock. I began to close my eyes again, and I saw a strange black slime coming out of my mouth as I blacked out again.
How
When I
could you
woke up
see
again,
that? And you're
I
blacked
opened
out?
my eyes,
Okay.
but I still couldn't see anything. I began to cry out of despair. My body felt wrong. Something was not right, and the only thing that calmed me down was my mother's voice, who told me that I had woken up after a long time. After several days of assimilating what had happened, I understood that I had survived for mere seconds, something I should not have survived. The fact that I was lucky doesn't mean that I got away with it. From that day on, I had many health complications and got sick much more often than I ever did. But the worst of it all was definitely going blind.
Yeah.
I could never see anything again. It was as if the universe had punished me for seeing too much, for seeing something I wasn't supposed to. After that day, I may have never seen anything again, but I dream a lot. I always dream about the back room and that monster.
You need to
I
stop.
don't want to do it, but it's like the dreams haunt me, trying to close some unfinished business between us.
No, we're not doing that. I can't do it. That one was pretty decent.
Hi,
let's watch
I'm
the
Alicia,
next one.
and
Sure.
today I'm going to tell you a story from my hometown,
Hi, Alicia.
back in Lakewood, North Carolina. My parents used to run a grocery store.
North Carolina. Look at the cornflakes.
For months
Look at
straight,
the Frosties.
things were getting stolen.
Milk.
At first, it was
Bread.
some bread, maybe some butter, a few
Right.
boxes of cereal, and a few eggs.
Right.
My parents ignored the theft and thought someone homeless or broke must be stealing the stuff.
You definitely sound like you from the
This
South.
was back in 1980, so there was no facility of CCTV cameras to catch the culprit.
Right.
My parents decided to let it go and not press charges.
But
this
vegan.
continued,
Y'all have vegan food,
and when
though.
5 expensive wine bottles were stolen, they decided they had enough and called the cops. No one could find out how the thief was
Shit.
stealing things, but the stuff kept getting stolen. I used to
That's
work
the
there
one
after
stuff
high
gets-
school too, and knew that none of the kids from my school were pulling the prank.
Bro, that's my
My
favorite
parents
brand
asked the
of
townspeople
chips is chips.
if anyone knew anything about the theft, but no one knew anything. Every year on the 15th of May, our town has a Founding Day parade, and for that parade, the whole town is decorated. Naturally, in the spirit of the Founding Day, my parents decided to clean the entire store and decorate it. When they were cleaning the store, my mom found a dark brown liquid seeping out of the wall behind the big fridge. She cleaned it up, but more and more liquid kept coming. The
That
more she cleaned
looks
it,
like milk.
the
It
more
doesn't
liquid
seem
poured through the cracks in the wall.
brown.
Soon, the store started to smell foul, and all the
Somebody
staff,
clogged the toilet.
customers,
Just
and my
clean it.
parents
Just
had
fix it.
gathered around the weird liquid coming through the wall. "What's that funny smell, Dad?" I asked my father as
Watch
I
it be a
entered the
dead
store
body.
and saw a group of people gathered by the big fridge.
Melting in the
No
back.
idea, kiddo. You back from school?
Yeah, I didn't go to Jenna's place as her parents are cleaning their home too for Founders Day. Do you guys need any help?
Would you mind billing Mrs. Livingston's grocery while your mom, the staff, and I deal with this filth?
Sure thing. For the next 2
That stench.
hours, my parents and every member of the staff tried multiple methods to stop the fluid from coming out of the wall cracks, but to no avail. After a point, the smell became so unbearable that we had to close the store early, despite Founders Day being just around the corner. My dad checked the other side of the wall, and a big pillar was right up against it. No drainage, nothing, just a big pillar.
It's a dead
15
body,
feet
I'm
tall
telling you,
and
right
pretty
now.
wide, too. The next day, Dad decided to call the plumber and get it fixed. The man came in and somehow stopped the awful liquid from oozing out of the wall. But he could not find the reason as to why this liquid was coming out of the wall with no drainage pipe in sight. Meanwhile, it had been
How'd he
6
fix
days
it then?
since anything was stolen from our grocery store. My parents were happy that the thief had finally decided to stop, but were upset about the smell left behind by the dirty liquid. Founders Day passed with relative ease with no new incident in the grocery store, and it looked like business was back up again. That's when our town's sheriff decided to give our store a visit. He knew about the stolen stuff from our store, so when he entered and said he might know the identity of the thief,
Shadow Man.
you can imagine how my parents must have felt.
Who was it, Sheriff?
My dad asked.
A man named Samuel August. Who is Samuel August?
Samuel
I've
August.
never heard this name before.
The nigga that's behind
He used to live in
y'all's
this town
refrigerator,
about 20 years ago. But was
freezer,
thrown into
or whatever.
prison for murder. Turns out he's back in town. He's jobless, and I strongly suspect he could have stolen food from your grocery store.
Yep.
Oh, that's unfortunate. But
Right.
did you catch him? Where is he now?
That's the question.
See, that's why I'm here.
You don't know where he is.
I don't know where he is now.
Yeah.
He has no family in town. All of them left soon after he went to prison. So, I have no idea where he's hiding.
He handed my
I think
parents
I
a
have an
picture
idea.
and asked them if they had seen anyone who looked like that.
Oh, Lord.
No, I don't think we've seen anyone looking like that in our store. Have you seen this man, kiddo?
The sheriff looked at me and
Imagine y'all have weird liquids going on in your grocery store, and it's smelling up the whole place, and you shut it down, and then this police comes to you looking for a man that looks like this, and then you look behind the refrigerator and you catch this man looks like this dead behind the refrigerator there. Like, how do you even get your hair to stand up in this way? This man is balding and overgrowing his hair at the same time. How did the sheriff get this picture? Like, would he get it off of the criminal's wall? Who took the picture? This picture is crusty. Bro, they didn't have your best interest at heart. They went and posted this on, they're roasting you in the comic section.
showed me the picture. And I stood there, stunned, because I had seen the man in our store.
Oh, you have?
The look on my face must have said it all, because the sheriff said,
You want to tell us anything, kiddo?
I just nodded and spilled out everything that had happened last week. While my parents were running errands, they asked me to look after the billing counter. The other staff was probably taking a break in the back room. That's when a man walked in. He looked as if he had seen better days. His clothes were dirty, and he looked disheveled.
Clothes is dirty.
I asked
It's
him if
like
he needed any help, and he just
crazy.
asked me to point towards the washroom. I told him it was in the back and that he had to buy something to use it.
Yeah, nah. He needs that washing. He needs that washing. Wash your butt, bruh.
He told me he would get something on his way out. But now
Cool.
that I think of him, he never came out of the washroom, not that I remember of. My parents and sheriff sprinted towards the
What
bathroom.
did I tell you?
It was highly unlikely that they were going to find the man in the bathroom after so many days. But instead of waiting
If he's in this bathroom, oh, I paused crazy. If he's in this
in the bathroom,
right now,
my dad told the sheriff that there was a
How?
loft above the store, which was unoccupied, and the way to the loft was through the bathroom ceiling.
Well, now we know.
The
what
moment my
happened.
father and the sheriff opened the loft, the same foul smell engulfed the store. This
There you
time, it
go.
was much stronger than before.
Yeah, they opened that. part
Immediately,
where
the
he was-
sheriff called for backup, and our whole grocery store was filled with cops and emergency care people. I was just sitting behind the cash counter, watching the horror unfold in front of me. You won't believe what must have happened. So, the moment Samuel entered the washroom, he must have noticed the way to the loft. He crawled up there and was living there for a while, stealing food and wine from our shop.
He smelled that.
But
bad
when the
and he
news
wasn't
spread that my
dead?
dad had informed the cops about the theft and that the cops were looking into it, he got scared. Instead of getting out of the loft and getting out of town, he decided to explore the loft even more. The loft gradually narrowed and reached the beam outside. Turns out the beam was hollow from the inside and had enough place for a skinny person like Samuel to hide in. To get away
Hid
from the
there?
cops, Samuel hid into the beam. He could go in just fine, but could not get out. And he
Oh,
died trapped inside the beam.
Dang.
The dirty brown liquid was coming out of his degrading body. The rotten
I
and
thought
mangled
so.
body was retrieved from the loft,
That's
and
nasty.
I had puked in the dustbin beside me at the sight and smell of it. That was
That
my
puke.
grocery store horror
that
story.
projectile vomit.
What was yours?
I don't have one. Yeah, so that's all we're doing for now. I mean, maybe next week we'll do... No. Definitely next week we're gonna do live action horror stories. And it's not gonna be like stories. It's probably gonna be like short films. But yeah, I'm just gonna say I'm out of here because it is too early. It's like 5 a.m. over here. I need to go to sleep, so I'm peace y'all together. Boom.